What's up, guys? My name's Zane and welcome to the channel. Today I'm gonna be doing something a little bit different than I normally do. I'm gonna be making a tier list. I've been seeing a lot of Regulation H tier list content all on YouTube and stuff. And to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the way people usually do it. Usually people are literally tiering every single Pokemon that's available. Honestly, in my opinion, it's kind of a waste of time. I don't think there's a reason to be talking about Pokemon like Golduck. So in this tier list, I'm just gonna be talking about the Louisville Regional meta, what I think are the most popular cores, and what we can expect, as well as how good I think they are. So I'm not going to be wasting any of your time talking about Golduck or Furret in this video, so no need to worry about that. So when it comes to the tiers, we got top tier meta threat. That one speaks for itself. Next is top cut potential. These are the teams that you can expect to be in the top, we'll say top 8, top 16. There's probably going to be a couple of them. Will day 2. These are the teams that I'll expect to see a good chunk in day 2. Destined to bubble. These are the teams that I think are just below the threshold. They are very solid teams, but I have a feeling that a majority of them will not be making day 2, but a couple could sneak in. And the last but not least, we got the Sunday League Cup. This is, if you bring a team like this, I don't know, man. Have fun on the side events. That's all I gotta say. Starting from the top, we got some Garchomp teams. The first one is Dragonite Garchomp. This is referring to the Paul Chua Garchomp team, where it has these two, has Alolan Ninetales, Gambit, Incin. I think this team is very good. I don't think it's the best team, but I do think it has a lot of potential, a lot of good matchups, and I think it's probably going to do very well. You'll probably see at least one or two in top cut, if I had to guess. Another Garchomp team is the Garchomp Vivian team. This one's a little more niche. Vivian is basically there as a sash user to put things to sleep. It's flying, so it's immune to the earthquake, so it's got a little bit of synergy with Garchomp there. But to be honest with you, I don't know if it's going to be that good. The problem with it is that there's a lot of Magmar Electabuzz running around, and they're very good at, just follow me, redirecting, and then they're immune to the sleep. So it loses a lot of value because of that. And yeah, sure, Garchomp is super effective into the Buzz and the Magmars, but it still doesn't one-shot them, which I think is a huge problem. So to be honest, I think if you bring this team, you're probably destined to bubble. Another Garchomp team, I'm going to move this up, is the Sand. The problem is that Sand was better before because I think Spam was way more popular right in the beginning of the format because T-Tar just kind of hard walls those teams. But I think nowadays Spam is not really one of those top tier meta threats. I think it's definitely cooled down a lot, and because of that, I think this team is probably worse off than the other teams that have Garchomp on them. So I'm gonna say, yeah, definitely destined to bubble. I probably would not bring this if you're trying to do well. You definitely could do well with it. It's just you're just playing the game a little bit on hard mode, I think. Next is Dondozo. Honestly, Dozo Giri is one of those things where they're usually a B tier, middle of the pack type of team that could just sweep a tournament if people aren't ready. The problem is I think a lot of teams are ready. Most people have Primarina or Amogus on their team, and they always run Haze, they always run Clear Smog. There's so much hate for Dozo that I would personally be scared to bring this team. So because of that, I'm probably putting it also in Destined to Bubble. I don't see this team really making day 2. I can see maybe 1, maybe 2 Dozo Giris. I think Solo Dozo has a better chance, but that's my opinion on the Dozo Giri. Next, we got some Spam stuff. Let me move Spam up with this right here. We got Spam, we got Fast Spam, and we have Lilycole. So I'm going to start off with Lilycole. Unfortunately, I used to love this in the beginning of the format because it gave you a secondary option with the Spam stuff. But I think it's a lot worse now than it was. I actually think Lilycole is really bad. Again, because Electabuzz and especially Magmar walls this. You can follow me away the after you. Dragapult's very common. Dragapult walls both of these Pokemon. If you're going to bring Lilycole, just, I don't know, good luck in the side events. You know what I'm saying? So, that's a tough one. When it comes to Spam, the Trick Room variation, I think this one's a little bit better. The difference is with this, you have those 2 extra slots open for other options like Scarf Annihilate with Final Gambit, which I think is very strong, just eliminating something. Or even Hisuian Zoroark giving you these other options. And to be honest with you, I think if you bring Spam Trick Room, man, you might have one of the best teams in the Sunday League Cup. You're destined to bubble, baby. Sorry about that, bruh. I will say definitely one of the best destined to bubbles teams. It's pretty solid, but it's too linear and there's too many answers, and people know how to play around it, especially when they're at the higher tables. So you might be able to sneak in if you get lucky and people aren't prepared for it on their specific team. But with Rillaboom everywhere, it's pretty tough. But yeah, good luck on Sunday, man. The League Cup, you got it. Fast Spam. I think this one has a lot more potential because it's not as reliant on something like Trick Room. The good thing is that you don't need to have a whole turn to set up Trick Room. You can play with other mons, so you have a lot of options on how to build this. So I think there is some potential. I feel like it'll probably be day two. I can see a decent, like maybe a handful of people day twoing with it. So I think it's definitely better than these other teams down here. Next we got that Whimsicott, Typhlosion, that Fast Sun team. I think it's okay. Beginning of the format, I would have probably put this in Top Cut potential, but I think it's probably a will day two type of team now. The advantage it has is that it does really well in terrain, which I think is a very good and probably going to be popular team because Whimsicott can just set up the sun every turn, and you can't even switch in Pelipper to get the rain up because it's the manual sun, right? And I think that is very, very strong. I think this core of three has some potential on how it could be built, and it could be pretty good, but there are some issues with it, like Gambit does really well into the Hisuian Typhlosion. Yeah, I think it's a good team. Will day two. I don't think it'd be much higher than this. Next up, man, we got some of the best teams in the game, dude. Dragapult, Sneasler, Gambit, easily top tier meta threat. Usually paired with this core. I'll put this up here too, but yeah, these three are very strong. They're very good into a lot of the meta. There's not a lot that counters them. They have an answer to most things. I think this core is a little bit weak to rain, but it depends on what they pair with it. Like, for example, with the next core, Rillaboom, Prim, Electabuzz. This team, it's literally these six, or Magmar instead of Electabuzz, does very good into basically the whole field. Dragapult, King Gambit, Sneasler is that offensive half. Rillaboom, Prim, and Electabuzz are that really nice, solid defensive core that are very hard to break. And they're honestly very flexible, these three, which is what makes them so crazy, because you don't have to run them with Dragapult. You can run them with other teams, and they can perform pretty well as long as they don't conflict with, like, having like a Psychic Terrain, for example. These can be played on like a Golden Go team. They can be played on probably not a Garchomp because you don't want to mess with the Earthquake. But in general, these three are very strong. These are probably going to be the most dominant teams when it comes to the Louisville Regional. Another super dominant team, in my opinion, is the Golden Go Clefable core. It's no surprise that this thing won Dortmund, to be honest with you. It has a very solid matchup into the Dragapult stuff because Clefable can just redirect away all of the Dragon Darts. It's immune. It takes 2 Dire Claws to kill, so you get a free chance to just set up with Golden Go. So it just like it walls Dragapult and King Gambit, and Make It Rain just kind of blows up basically everything. Nothing really lives that, except for maybe like Electabuzz, Magmar, and like King Gambit. But like Rillaboom doesn't like that. Primarina doesn't like that. Porygon stuff does not like that. Rain, even though a lot of them resist, they don't want to take the Shadow Ball. And these teams, like this team was played with Garchomp, and Garchomp handles a lot of the counters to Golden Go too, like the Gambit, stuff like that. So honestly, I think this core is very, very solid. I think it's probably going to show up a lot in Top Cut and Day 2. Next, we're kind of going a little bit more old school. Is Mouseape. Mouseape is still like kind of scary, I get. No, it's not. It's the problem with Mouseape is that, again, Electabuzz and Magmar everywhere. Redirecting the beat up on turn 1 is too broken. And Dragapult outspeeds Ape and Mousehold. So being able to redirect and click Dragon Darts and then just Dragon Darts again the next turn is just too much damage for this. If you bring this, you're probably going to bubble. Honestly, this might be a Sunday League Cup team, man. It seems so bad because playing against like Mouseape feels scary all the time because they have so many options. But I feel like what is currently in the meta is so good against it that, like, if you bring this, man, like, I don't know, man. Good luck. It's going to be a rough weekend. So next up is the Instant Amoonguss Porygon 2 core. Usually this will play with Ursaluna. There has been a couple people running Garchomp instead. And then there's also like Golden Goal on the team, whatever. I think Flamigo is popular. But in my opinion, I don't really like this team. The appeal of it is that it's very like good or playable into everything. But unlike something like the like Reg G or Reg F, where you have like the Urshifu, Rillaboom, Incin cores, I feel like this core has a negative matchup into like what feels like everything. This team does not feel good into rain. It doesn't really feel good into the Dragapult, King Gambit, Sneasler. It does not feel good into Golden Go. And yet somehow I still think it's gonna Day 2. That's the problem. It's even though it feels like the worst team I've ever put my hands on, it somehow still manages to find a way out by the skin of its teeth. It's literally it's one of those teams where it's like you have to be really good with it, but if you are, you will day two, and really good players will probably bring it. And because of that, I think it has the potential day two, but it's definitely one of the lower day two teams in my opinion. Next up, we got the Reign. Reign is very strong, probably top cut potential. I personally don't see Reign dominating the way it's been before unless people start playing Magmar on this Dragapult team and they do not, make changes to account for Rain. Because Rain does run this team over if you're running the Magmar version and you don't have a good tear on Magmar to kind of resist the water type. I think like Rain just has a very solid matchup in a lot of things. Archaludon is very scary. You put a mouse hold on this team and you just beat it up, or you give it like population bomb and then suddenly it's +6 defense, so it beats like all the physical teams, which again, this team is very, very physical heavy. It honestly is a big problem. It does a little bit worse, I think, in my opinion, into the Golden Go stuff, but it's still a manageable like matchup. It's not impossible. You're gonna see at least one in top cut, maybe two. You'll never know, but definitely one of the better teams. Last two, so we got Toedscruel Weezing. Honestly, I would have put this in Will day two because I do think it's strong enough to day two, but I think there's not going to be enough people running it. And if there's not any good players running it, I don't see it doing that well. You can live Adamant Dragon Darts from Dragapult with a little bit of investment in Toedscruel. The problem is like I think Dragapult has like rolls to kill it. And you're going to double target the Toedscruel because the Weezing is fairy type. So it has like a weird matchup into the top teams. But it does do good into the Golden Go teams. Honestly, in my opinion, I think this team is scary, but I don't think it's going to be played by enough people to day two. It's probably going to bubble for the most part. So definitely on my radar as a team to watch out for, but it's not going to be a meta threat, in my opinion. And then last but not least is Volcarona. This is not talking about like the supportive, like overheat, rage powder Volks. I'm talking specifically about those teams that aim to Quiver Dance Volcarona and then just like protect it until it goes to like +3 or +2 and just start sweeping. I think this mon it was solid in the beginning, but I think now it's one of those mons for the side events, buddy. I'm sorry. Because Dragapult's rising in popularity, it just has the option to just spam Dragon Darts, do a ton of damage, and it's not afraid of the flame body burn. So, and in my opinion, it's very, very hard to run this right now. Anyways, that's it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a little bit different than what I normally do, but hopefully this was helpful if you guys are preparing for Louisville. These are definitely all the teams that I'm thinking about and trying to prepare for. This is kind of where my head's at. Next video, we'll be back to the original stuff. We'll be doing a little bit of Louisville commentary, so you can look forward to that. So again, if you guys are new here, don't forget to subscribe, like the video if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.